And then I'm going to go ahead and let Katie get started whenever she's ready.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's so cool to see everyone's face. Thanks so much for coming out virtually today and being here. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Katie Thomas, and today I'm going to talk to you all a bit about the Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence. We're a nonprofit organization located right here in Rochester. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Pardon me while I figure this out. I swear that I've mastered Zoom, but then somehow something always happens. Let's see. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it, Katie.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and present. Lovely. Okay. Awesome. And is that full screen for everyone?
Yeah, it
Perfect.
looks good.
All right. Awesome. So yes, like I said, my name is Katie Thomas, and I am working at the MK Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence, and we are a nonprofit organization located right here in Rochester, New York. And I'm so excited to be here to really just talk to you all a bit about what the Gandhi Institute is, what we do on a day-to-day basis, and how you can join our community. We're always looking to broaden our community and make new connections. So this is really awesome to be here to meet some new people and hopefully to get people involved who are interested. I want to first go ahead and thank Olivia and Martha for getting me here and really making this opportunity possible. And Oasis overall for having me. I just want to thank you all for taking the time. And I'm really excited about this. And as a fellow AmeriCorps member, it's awesome to see Olivia and her host site and maybe be able to make this connection with my host site. So I'm excited to get into a bit about the Gandhi Institute and what we do and how you can get involved. So first, I'm going to talk to you all a bit about what we look like in the community. So I wanted to share this picture of the Gandhi Institute because it really shows kind of like what we look like physically in our community. I am not sure how familiar everyone is with the Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence, but it is located on 929 South Plymouth. And I wanted to offer this address and this picture for folks if you're ever inclined to visit. We love visitors and we encourage everyone to come on out and see us. So, like I said, we're located right on Plymouth and we're known as kind of the Red House. Usually, when people are wondering like where we are, I'm just like, go on Plymouth, South Plymouth, and look for a red house. I promise you've probably passed it a lot of times. So it's kind of hidden, but once you see it, it's the Gandhi Institute for you. And what you'll see in this picture is a picture of our house, the red house over to your left, which is actually our office space, and the community garden over to the right, which is a huge part of our organization as well. And I'll get a little bit more into how that community garden space fits into our mission.
Katie, sorry to interrupt, but you're still on the first slide. We can't see the picture of the house.
Oh no, okay. Let's see. Thank you for that, Liv. Oh, it says screen sharing is paused. New share. Let's try that. Is that better?
There, yeah, now
Oh,
we can see.
perfect. Okay. Like I said, Zoom and me are not, we're figuring it out. Thanks for that. So yes, like as you can see here, this is the image that I was referring to, a picture of our lot with the house to the left and our community garden space to the right. And this is actually a slightly edited, kind of prettied up version of what our lot looks like done by our lovely graphic designer, Bianca. But I think it really does a good job of showing what our space looks like. And inside the Institute, you'll find that it's a functional house with a large community workshop space. We have a meditation room and office spaces for our team, which is about 8 to 10 people. And the outside space here is the house is actually adjacent to a 3/4 acre lot that's been rehabilitated, as you see, to serve as an urban agriculture project. And behind that greenhouse there's actually a meditative green space that's available to the neighborhood. And we have a labyrinth in there where people can walk in. We say that it's a South African practice for conflict resolution, and we encourage people to walk the labyrinth. So if you're ever interested in just checking out the space, especially now that we're kind of in some warmer weather, please feel free to come by. Let's see. There we go. And so next I'm going to talk a bit about me. There we go. Next I'm going to talk a bit about who I am. So I'm Actually, a recent graduate from the University of Rochester. I graduated last spring in the class of 22, and I studied political science and religion. And through those majors in my studies, I really gained an interest in community engagement and social justice work. And is that better? Is this blocking you guys? I just realized. I'm sorry, everyone. There we go. Let's do that. Perfect. So, like I said, I'm a recent graduate from the University of Rochester, and I studied political science and religion. And that really brought me to an interest in community engagement and social justice work. And that actually led me to the Rochester Youth Year Fellowship, which you may be familiar with through Olivia. So that fellowship is under AmeriCorps Vista. So through the Rochester Youth Year program, I was placed with the Gandhi Institute, and I'm working now as their AmeriCorps Vista Fellow. And the year of service so far has been amazing. I can really say that it's been a perfect fit for me, and I really think that the Gandhi Institute's mission really aligns with my values and interests. So it's been a treat to work at the Gandhi Institute.
Katie, there's a request in the chat from one of our teachers. If you could just speak a little more slowly, she says, so that some of our students can understand a little bit better.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. Thank you for that request. Let's go here. So next, I'm going to talk to you all a bit about the Gandhi Institute and its history. So it was founded by Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, Arun Gandhi, and his wife, Sunanda Gandhi, in 1991 in Memphis. So we actually moved to Rochester in the 2000s and are currently located on South Plymouth, like I said. And the Gandhi Institute was actually, the house itself was an abandoned building that was restored by community members. And it has a really cool origin story where you kind of can see this abandoned house in 2011 and the side by side to this red house now that has really come together from community interest. And I think that that's a really cool reflection of our values and our really emphasis on doing things as a community and collaboratively. We also do programs for and work mostly with youth who are 12 to 24 years old, folks who work with youth, and general work with the community groups and members. So to make it clear, even though youth are our focus, everyone is welcome, and we really encourage everyone to come on to the Gandhi Institute to get involved. There's a place for everyone, and we encourage everyone to join our community. We also offer trainings and workshops in skills such as nonviolent communication, meditation, and cultural humility, as well as interconnectedness and responses to systemic violence and racism. So those are a bit about the workshops and trainings that we do, which are a really big part of our day-to-day, but I'll get a bit more to that later on. So continuing with a bit about the Institute itself, I'm going to talk now about our mission. So the Gandhi Institute really operates to equip the community to use nonviolence to create a sustainable and just world for all. And we work with local organizations, academic institutions, students, committed peacemakers, community members in a mission to engage the community in positive collective ways, excuse me. And we aim to really serve as a physical manifestation with our house and our community garden, especially as of the Gandhian principles in Martin Luther King's beloved community. So we really try to walk in the philosophies and teachings of Gandhi and Martin Luther King and other nonviolent activists and organizers throughout history. So I wanted to first start, before getting a bit more to our mission and what that looks like for us on a daily basis, by showing you our staff agreements. So actually, this is, let me go back. What is that? Oh, sorry, that was the wrong slide. So this is our staff agreements. And so I really wanted to show this because it kind of does a great job in my eyes of showing what we're about. And I think that kind of showing the rules that we have a staff have agreed to uphold and work by kind of does a good job of showing, I think, our mission and what we want to present ourselves as an organization. So sorry for this big bunch of text right here. I tried to work around it and tried to kind of highlight the words that really like matter to me. But this is our first agreement and one of four where we agreed to work to recognize our individual socializations via our race, gender, sexual identity, class, religion, age, or ability, and to take action to create spaces that value and include everyone. We're really big on inclusivity, and this includes actions such as recognizing people who move forward to speak and those who do not in meetings and workshops, taking responsibility for one's comments and actions, and those that especially have painful impact due to historical and or ongoing oppression, and acknowledging biases or blind spots, and spending time educating oneself on one's socialization. We practice cultural humility by realizing that we are never done learning about what it means for ourselves and others to live in a society of systemic, interpersonal, and internalized oppression. And this comes from our recognition that the Gandhi Institute exists within a white supremacist, heterosexist, patriarchal society. So that was a mouthful, and I apologize for all of that. But that I really think does a good job of encompassing what we really believe and where we stand and where we view ourselves as the Gandhi Institute. We understand that as an organization with resources, we really want to share those resources. We want to open our space and our community to everyone and be as inclusive as possible. So that's really big for us. A little bit out of order there. So the next three staff agreements luckily are a bit shorter. The second one is we strive to bring our whole selves to meetings, and we share authentically about how we feel without needing to give all the details. And we recognize that unexpressed emotions can be easily misinterpreted. We're really big on building relationships and really like learning people at their core as a staff and with anyone who comes into the Gandhi Institute doors. It's really a big emphasis on just human to human connection. And so I think bringing our whole selves is a really big part of what we do and what we encourage everyone to do. And number three is when tensions and challenges arise between us, we work to quickly acknowledge and address them with the other person. So you'll see that conflict resolution and dialogue and working things out is a really major theme in the work that we do at the Gandhi Institute. And thus, we really requesting support for us is for challenges really benefits everyone. We really are big believers that that conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that conflict usually serves to bring people closer, to bring people to a common ground, to really strengthen a relationship. So we kind of encourage messiness and conflict, talking things out, because we also know the importance of reaching that common ground and how powerful that can be. And the last staff agreement is that we encourage one another to offer supportive, positive, and critical feedback. We're really big on honest, constructive feedback and really encouraging everyone to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And that's something that I've really learned a lot from. And it's been really awesome to bond with coworkers and really get to learn each other on a relationship level. And for us, feedback really also is not a negative thing. It's really encouraging everyone to be their best selves. So that's a bit about what our staff has agreed upon and what it kind of looks like to be a part of the Gandhi staff. And now a bit about how other people kind of come into the mix, other volunteers kind of come into the mix. And next, I'm going to talk about our 4 pillars. So this is a really big part of our mission. And all Gandhi work really falls into 4 areas of focus that we refer to as these 4 pillars. So starting with nonviolence education and restorative practices, going to sustainability, both environmental and relational, and then racial justice or anti-racism. So now I'm going to talk a bit about each of these pillars a little more in depth and how they kind of connect to the services that we offer for the community, and especially looking out for if anyone is interested in any of these things, I'd love to talk more about them. So just to kind of give you a sense of the things that you could possibly get involved in or learn more about. So starting with nonviolence education, everything we do at the Gandhi Institute really has a nonviolent tone to it. Like its namesake, we really are rooted in the teachings of Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. as well. So we offer nonviolent communication and de-escalation training, which is really a cool way to nonviolent communication was something I kind of learned recently while working at the Gandhi Institute. And I never thought that it was something I would need in my day-to-day life, but it really teaches you to express your wants and needs in a way that really gets across like what do you truly need? Like what in your day-to-day do you require, whether that's care or patience or kindness or honesty, and really like learning that in yourself and being able to voice that to other people in a way where you're expressing where you're coming from, but respecting that person as well. And I think that that has been something I didn't expect to use in my daily life as much as I have. And it's been very valuable just in my daily relationships, learning how to really communicate my needs and respect others' needs and wants, and learn that we can live in a world where people's needs and wants can live together peacefully. That's what we truly believe at the Gandhi Institute. So next is the season for nonviolence and nonviolence in prisons. And we are actually in the middle of the season for nonviolence right now, which is a 64-day season, which honors the assassination dates of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., and really honors their teachings and beliefs. So it starts back in January, which is the assassination of Gandhi, and then goes into April 4th, which is the assassination date of Martin Luther King. And between those days, we have 64 principles for every day. And each principle is an aspect of nonviolence that we feel really resonates with the teachings of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And it encourages everyone to focus on a certain word like humility or compassion or education or a value that connects to nonviolence. And you really are supposed to think about it day by day and be mindful about what it means in your life. And we actually encourage people to take a nonviolence pledge, and for the 64-day season, be really mindful about that in hopes that even beyond the season, people are a bit more mindful about how nonviolence can be part of their lives. And we also, in the season for nonviolence, really aim this initiative in our work with prisons. So yesterday, I actually was a part of a group that went into Groveland facility, and we did a season for nonviolence workshop with them. They've actually been celebrating with us, and we've sent them written materials and videos with different topics that have to do with the season. And we even got Arun Gandhi, who is in the Rochester area, who's based here, and he's still very much involved with the Gandhi Institute and is especially passionate about this season for nonviolence prison initiative. So we've been working with him to go into facilities, and yesterday was a kind of the fruition of that. And that was a really awesome experience to bring it to our community and local prison facilities. And lastly is the Youth Healing Hate Grants, which we give groups of young people in Rochester, 12 to 24 years old, $1,000, and they get to apply for a cause in their community that they think will alleviate hate and violence and encourage compassion and collaborativeness and community. And we give them $1,000 to pursue an idea that they submit to us, and certain groups are able to take that money to bring their ideas to fruition in their communities. And that's actually going on right now. We're planning for the upcoming session of that, and that has been a really exciting initiative to be a part of, and really cool to see how young people implement their causes that they care about into the community in their own ways, and to give young people that power. Next is restorative practices. So restorative practices and restorative justice is a really big part of what we do. And we offer communication and conflict workshops and trainings, which really looks like de-escalation, similarly to the nonviolent communication, talking through tough times, and especially facilitating hard conversations and things like that. So that's where those communication and conflict workshops come into play. And we also actually have a partnership with RCSD. We have 2 staff members who go into school 17 and 19 on a weekly basis and have help zones for students. They teach restorative practices and methods that students can use and take into their everyday lives. And we've also contributed at the policy level to RCSD to implement more restorative practices in classrooms and to really teach those methods to kids. So that's been something that we're trying to increase and get more involved with RCSD, and hoping to see more restorative practices in school settings and really transforming school climates from punitive to restorative. Finally, for restorative practices, we have workshops, dialogues, and talking circles. So from family conflicts to conflicts to any kind of issue with a certain group, we encourage you to come to the Gandhi Institute. And that's what our facilitators are for. We really like to work with people through relationship issues, whether that's professional, private, romantic, whatever it is. We really are big on working through those issues and teaching people tools on how to work through those and sustain these relationships. So speaking of sustainability, our next pillar is sustainability, which is a really huge part of what the Gandhi Institute does. As I said, with the equinox being here, and now that we're in spring, this is going to be an even larger part of what we do at the Gandhi Institute. So we are really big on sustainable practices and environmental justice, and our community garden and farm is a big part of that. So we have a community garden that we share with the neighborhood. And now that we're in spring season, it's going to be a really prevalent part of our volunteer work and also just our services to the neighborhood. So we offer a food share program for surrounding neighbors where we actually harvest fruits and veggies in the garden and have some partnering organizations who have community gardens of their own. And together we actually give out food every Saturday during the spring and summer season to families who sign up for the food share program and give fruit and veggies and whatever we are able to harvest in our farm or garden at that time. We also have a community garden bed program where we allow community members to come and have a community garden bed on our property. If you're into gardening and have a green thumb, we'd love to host a garden bed for you, whether it's for fruits, veggies, or flowers. We really like to encourage community planting and community gardening. So that's also a possibility for anyone who's maybe interested in, getting their hands dirty. And we also have opportunities for people who just want to work in the garden as well in general. But I'll talk a little bit more about those gardening opportunities later on. And the last pillar of sustainability is workplace sustainability, which I would say is one that people don't think of as much, but we're big on preventing burnout and building relationships in the workplace. So that connects a lot with our nonviolent practices and restorative practices, and really ways to keep a workplace environment healthy and kind and understanding and connected. And so an example of that is we have a 4-day work week, and we're really big on doing relationship building activities when we're together in person and just getting to know each other better, because we found that when you know the individuals you're working with on a really personal level, it makes for proactivity, it makes for productivity, it makes for just a better workplace environment. So we like to share those practices with other organizations and groups and workplaces. So lastly is racial justice or anti-racism. And really anti-racism or racial justice is kind of woven into everything we do at the Gandhi Institute. We teach systems thinking in all of our workshops and facilitations, which really emphasizes the systems thinking approach of social issues, especially racial justice. So systemic racism is something that we often talk about in our facilitations and workshops, and understanding that these issues are not at necessarily just the individual level, but that there are larger systems at play here, systems of oppression that we acknowledge and are trying to overcome. Thirdly is cultural competence and humility workshops. So we offer these cultural competence workshops to different groups or organizations to just talk more about diversity and getting diverse folks and rooms and groups and organizations, and really just teaching folks how to talk to people and acquaint themselves more with folks who they may not have in the past. So that's a really big workshop that we've been doing for certain organizations and groups, and that's been really interesting to do. I've really enjoyed learning how those workshops kind of go into play. And lastly is community dialogues. We have tended to have a lot of conversations that really surround around racial justice and racism and poverty. And we've noticed that, a lot of these topics that we talk about really have racism intertwined, and really these 4 pillars that we have are very related. And so a lot of our community dialogues will talk about sustainability, we'll talk about racial justice and sustainability and restorative practices. So that kind of all combines together. So next I'm going to talk a bit about our workshops that we offer at the Gandhi Institute. So this is a lot. I know that this is kind of a lot of things here, but I wanted to show the variety of things that we offer. So I'm not going to read all of them. I'll let you all kind of look at these, but these are really what we offer to different groups. And while these are things that we have offered in the past, we also emphasize that we're very flexible and malleable with the workshops that we offer. So these have been things that certain groups may have had issues with and came to us, and we kind of built these from certain requests and groups, but we also are very open to any individual group or group ask that, making workshops that really cater to specific issues. So there's not really a one size fits all approach when it comes to these workshops, but these are some of the things that you can get involved in or request for a group or yourself. And we tend to also offer certain workshops just for people to drop in. So cultural humility, nonviolent communication, we tend to have facilitators who just have those workshops going on during the season. And so you're welcome to join those whenever we offer them. So here's a look at what some of the things that you can get involved in at the Gandhi Institute. And here's a look at some of our events. So in addition to workshops and trainings, we really like to be a beacon for just like hosting events and bringing people together and really getting different voices and folks in the room. So here's a look at some of the things that we do, starting with the garden work party. We've got breakfast chats, de-escalation workshop, book groups. We have grief circles. We have community dinners. And I'll get a bit more into the details of these. And these are some of the events that are actually coming up for us in our upcoming events. So these are things that you'll be able to join if you're interested in, coming out. So to get more into the nitty gritty of what these events really look like, starting with the garden work party, we actually are really excited because garden work parties are back now that the spring has come and it's perfect time for us to get the garden up and going again. We are inviting volunteers to come out and get your hands dirty and come out and work with us. So if you're interested in gardening, we would love to have you. You can come out on Saturdays starting next week with yourself or bring friends or a group. And we really love just having people come out to do weeding, watering, and harvesting in our community garden. And also doing food share, drop-offs and deliveries if you're interested in that. So that is one of our up and coming volunteer opportunities. And next is breakfast chats, which are actually one of our newer events that we've added. And it's an opportunity in morning times, usually Tuesday mornings at around 8 a.m. to join our directors for breakfast and a conversation. So you can talk to Gwen and Aaron, our co-directors, and they really are big on just like having conversations and meeting people. And even if you don't even know specifically like what you're there for, or if you don't know exactly what you want to get involved in, it's a great way to just kind of talk to us, get to know us a bit more. And we also really encourage folks to talk about what they're interested in and talk about ways that you maybe can get involved, because we really are believing that everyone can get involved in any aspect of the Gandhi Institute, and we really try to cater that to people's interests. So that's a perfect time for you to come in, talk to our co-directors, have some food cooked by the Institute, and talk a bit about what you're interested in, and maybe talk about a way for you to get involved with the Gandhi Institute based on what you're into. Next is book groups. So we have online book groups on and off every few months, depending on what facilitators are interested in. So our facilitators literally will have a book that they love or are passionate about, and will just open up an online book group and share it with the community. And we're big on reading in community. So right now we've got a healing resistance book group hosted by one of our facilitators, Jonathan. That one's actually about to be finishing up next week, but we have an upcoming book group coming where we are going to be reading our co-director Gwen Olton's book, From Conflict to Community, Transforming Conflicts Without Community. Oh, excuse me. That actually is written wrong. It's supposed to be Transforming Conflicts Without Authorities. So it really is about how in an office setting, in a community setting, when conflict arises, to deal with that without calling the police or calling the higher ups. So I really appreciate that book, and I'll actually be one of the facilitators for that book group. So if anyone's interested in that, we would love to read that with you and discuss about finding alternative ways to deal with conflict without needing to go to higher authorities. So next, we've also got our weekly virtual grief circles, which is hosted by our facilitator, Bianca. These are a really cool opportunity to just come together to just be in community. You can sit in silence. You can share things that are maybe weighing on you, things that you're celebrating, things that you're mourning, and be in community with your feelings, all of the, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And I think the online grief circle is a great way to just build emotional community and find a network of people to kind of lean on. And I've found that they have been really interpersonal, and I found that they're really intimate in a way that I've built community with people who I never would have thought I would, but really got to learn about our lives and connect. And it's a really cool opportunity to meet new people and connect really at a relationship emotional level. So next is dinner with the community. So these are one of my personal favorites, which are basically essentially what they sound like. They're dinners at the Gandhi Institute garden or in our house during colder months. And it's a potluck style where we typically cook food for the community, but we also encourage folks to bring their own dishes or meals as they please. But really, we say at the end of the day to bring yourself and your appetite and some good conversation. And these are a really cool chance to just talk to people honestly and meet new folks and also talk about upcoming volunteer opportunities and what's coming up next for the Institute. But it's a bottom line way to just meet new people, and I really enjoy going to them. Finally is actually a newer opportunity for a volunteer PGA championship opportunity for working in this championship in Pittsburgh for the Golf PGA Championship. And you'll be working under the Gandhi Institute to work in the concessions, raising funds and awareness of the Gandhi Institute. Excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words a bit. You'll be working to raise funds and awareness for the Gandhi Institute through the concession stand. And you'll also be able to enjoy the golf tournament, of course, and just also work with some Gandhi staff and community members. So it's also a way to connect with other people in the network as well, and also just enjoy a tournament. So that's an up and coming opportunity, and you can find all these opportunities on our website, and I'll show a QR code later on where you can scan that if any of you are interested in joining these or have any questions about these. We would love to get anyone involved. So these are some up and coming things that we are going to be doing at the Gandhi Institute. So I also wanted to highlight some partnerships that we've got at the Gandhi Institute. And these are mostly organizations, grassroots organizations, groups. And this last one is a signatory agenda for the Black agenda groups, racism, public health crisis. So these are groups that we work really closely with in Rochester. And I wanted to put these up just to show that we really emphasize our network and really emphasize making connections with other organizations and entities and groups who are doing work that we really admire and appreciate. So Free the People Rock, Sweet Ida May Food Pantry, the Police Accountability Board Alliance, and the Black Agenda Group are some groups and organizations that we've done work with. And I wanted to highlight these because we also are really big on being middle people and pathways to other networks for folks and make connections with these other organizations. So if these are groups that anyone's interested in getting connected with or learning more about, we would be really happy to facilitate those connections and talk a bit more about what these groups are doing, because they're doing some really awesome stuff out in the community. So those are some of our partnerships. And yeah, would love to just highlight those, and feel free to ask any questions about those as well, because they're really awesome groups. So with further ado, I really just want to restate that we really just want to broaden our community, and I want to really invite you all to join our community and connect with the Gandhi Institute. So just to highlight a few ways that you can get connected with us: coming out to workshops and events, coming out to volunteer in whatever way you might be interested in, I would say is the biggest way to come and join us. And feel free to go on our website or email me or go on our upcoming events to see if you're interested in anything. We would love to see you at any upcoming events that we're throwing at the Gandhi Institute. I also wanted to highlight the other possibility of getting involved with us, which is board committees. So of course, our organization has a board, and we have different committees in marketing and development and finance. And this is actually something that's kind of not known as much, and I really would like to highlight it more so that we can get more faces and more people involved. But these board committees are open to everyone, and we have board members who, you know, are chairing most of these committees and thinking about ways that we can develop marketing, finance, and advertising and things like that. And so for us, we really wanted to open up these committees to not just the board, but to anyone who's interested in kind of seeing how a nonprofit operates at these levels. So if you're interested in any of these things and kind of seeing how the Gandhi Institute does each of these operations, we would totally invite you to get involved with these board committees and would love to see some new faces there to, yeah, see what we do, kind of the back end things that we do at the Gandhi Institute. And next is also just meeting and working with us to find ways you can join your community. So the options that I brought up are not the only thing that you can do at the Gandhi Institute. So if there's some things that you saw that you may be kind of interested in, but you're like, maybe this, and I don't know, like maybe there's some things that you're interested in, but you're not sure what that would look like based on your schedule, please come and meet with us. Email me, email our organization's general email, and we would love to talk to you and figure out a way to work with what your schedules are and your interests are to get involved. So that goes again to say that we're really malleable and flexible with ways that you can get involved. So the ways that I stated are things that you can absolutely, avenues that you can get involved with and go through, but you also can just reach out to us, come up to the Gandhi Institute. If you want to just visit us and talk to us, we're more than happy to figure out ways that you can get more involved in a way that works for you. And lastly is just checking out our website and upcoming events. So like I said, that's a really good way to just check in with what we're doing and keep up to date with things that we're offering and things that we will be offering in the future at the Gandhi Institute. So speaking of that, I'm like leaving you all with this QR code and our social media. So you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Rock Nonviolence. You can reach out to me at katie@gandhiinstitute.org and scan this QR code for any upcoming events. It will take you to our Gandhi Institute website. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for dealing with my technical difficulties and for listening to, yeah, me talk about the Gandhi Institute and the things that we have to offer. I really am excited to be here, and I'm just really hoping that you all will join our community. We would love to have you. So I also want to go ahead and open up for any questions and make sure that I covered anything that's missing. Feel free to ask, yeah, any questions that folks have got.
If anyone wants to put a question in the chat, I can read it out loud for Katie. Here's a question, Katie. This is from Jenny's class. I looked on the website and I can't find information about the garden work days. Where can we find that information?
Yes, so thank you for asking that because that is something we just talked about. So we are going to be starting garden work parties next week. We actually are going to be putting that up on our website pretty close to next week. So you can expect that to be in our calendar probably sometime early to mid next week for the Saturday work party, but that will show up on our calendar and website moving forward. We always have our workshops, our garden workshops in our calendar for you to sign up on, or you can also just feel free to show up. So there's either the workshop avenue or just kind of coming on a Saturday works, but that will be popping up on our website, I want to say next week. So I will double check on that for you, but would expect that for, yeah, next week. And moving forward should be pretty clear in the website.
Here's a couple more questions from Kim's class. The first one is, can you break down how you teach systems thinking?
Yeah. So, okay. So this question, I don't know if I'll do it as much justice as our licensed facilitators would, but from what I've observed as, the AmeriCorps Vista, seeing facilitations and kind of helping with planning those, we are really big on, we do something called the iceberg model. So we really are big on using the analogy that systems are like icebergs. Like we kind of only see the top of it. We see certain symptoms and certain um, certain symptoms of an issue, but it really leading up to it is so many different things. So like a thing like racism, that's such a large system, and we really try to break it down and say like, so racism is a large system, but really like what consists of that, what that system consists of is a lot of smaller systems such as poverty, such as education inequality, food injustice, and so many different things that kind of go into like make racism the system that it is. So we use the iceberg model and actually encourage people to think of a system in their own lives that kind of they know best, and we actually have an iceberg like worksheet that we have people write out like the different things that kind of go into that system. And for me, like I used student loans as my example, and that was a really it was a really interesting way to kind of look at student loans as kind of like what like leads into that. There's poverty, there's inability to pay for expensive college, there is education inequalities and all of things like that. So it really is acknowledgement of so many different things that go into these larger issues, and not just like, oh, racism is like a one stop shopping. We can solve it one way, but really we can solve it. There's many solutions that go into racism and many approaches. And you'll see like with the 4 pillars, with those being like kind of holistic. And that's really like how we like to approach issues, because there is no one way to solve a lot of these like big social issues. They really deal with a lot of smaller things that work together to be these systems of oppression that we know. So I don't know, I definitely don't think I explained that as well as my fellow facilitators would, but yeah, so I would say in facilitations we do just get into really like what system thinking is, and thinking less on an individual level and more on like a collective level in general. So we're big on indigenous ways of thinking, and they really emphasize collectivity and thinking of things in a group and not just as yourself. And so I think that's also a big part of systems thinking as well. I hope that answered that.
A couple more questions. What are the main anti-racism points that the Institute focuses on?
Yeah, I'd say so. Anti-racism for me is something I would like to see even more kind of like exacerbated in the work that we do. Like I said, it's very intertwined, and pretty much like you'll find racism intertwined in a lot of the other issues that we talk about. And so we do, when we think of systems thinking and workshops, we tend to bring up racism and talk about racism and poverty and people's experiences. But the biggest thing has been dialogues, and we've had dialogues, especially following the murder of Daniel Prude and George Floyd. We had community dialogues just talking about the state of, yeah, the community, the Black community especially, and that really like allowed us to just kind of talk with the community and kind of gauge like where people are at, and especially Rochester's Black community, because knowing that different communities have different needs. And so that was a great way to really like get a gauge on like Rochester's Black community and the work that needs to be done. And we had other organizers who were there as well. So that was really powerful to kind of be with a fellow network of organizations and community members to talk about Black issues and Black Rochesterians. And we also have a podcast that I'm a part of that we've just kind of brought back. And we actually are a group of all Black people, Black staff members and community members who have come together to create this podcast. And we are really big on covering Black issues in that podcast. That's been one of the main focuses for some of the subjects of the episodes. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to kind of bring racism and topics of racial justice to the forefront on. But I would say that as for our points on racial justice, it's really just kind of woven into a lot of our workshops and discussions, and especially when we think about systems.
Another question, does the Gandhi Institute encourage religion in the community?
So yeah, I definitely think we are really big on inclusivity and big on spiritual inclusivity as well. So we do work with organizations, religious individuals and leaders. We definitely do a lot of work with them. We don't necessarily have a religious standpoint. We're neutral when it comes to that, but we really encourage the work that a lot of awesome religious organizations and charities and individuals are doing in the community. So we do tend to work with those groups and people and have hosted different workshops for different groups. We recently had a kids youth group that came in and did some volunteer and workshopping with us. So definitely do have a lot of ties and connections with the religious community as well.
The last question right now says, can you explain more about the Black Agenda group?
Yeah, so you know what? That actually is something that I'm still learning a bit more about myself on. So I told my supervisor that any questions I get from here that I'm not sure about answering, I'd bring on to him. So that's one that I definitely would say I am probably not the most qualified to answer, but I definitely will talk to my supervisor more about that. That's something I actually learned about more recently, as the AmeriCorps Vista that we were involved in. But I do know that there was a declaration that the Black Agenda Group was a part of for getting racism established as a public health threat in Rochester. So that was, I think they're like an advocacy group from what I understand, who just focuses on pushing those initiatives and those agendas for Black Rochesterians. But I would definitely be sure to do some more research on my side before giving you a full answer for that. So I can definitely get back to you on that, but also have their website and email information as well. So I can send that to Olivia and have her send that along to you. So yeah, I hope that kind of answered it.
Yeah, please do, Katie. Do any other classes have any questions before we wrap up for today? Nobody? Okay, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone, for listening. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all around town.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much. And I appreciate all the questions. Please feel free to email me at Katie at Gandhi Institute with any more. And also feel free to come up to the Gandhi Institute anytime for, yeah, just to visit us, any questions or any of that. But thank you all so much for listening and being here. And I hope to see some of your faces at the Gandhi Institute soon.
Bye, Katie.
Bye, thank you.